I struggled with formulating and writing this review, which is why it took me so long to finish and upload it. And it will probably show because even now as I record this, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this game. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed playing it a lot, and it often scared the bejesus out of me, as expected, but something isn't sitting well with me even at this very point of recording the review. And that something is probably the fact that I still don't know what the f*** happened. Now, the astute among you will be suavely and confidently saying to yourselves, well, yes, silly Planet Evans, that's the whole point of the Slender Man games. You never really know what's going on, and that's why you're constantly on edge and scared out of your wits most of the time. Without a doubt, and that's why I love the 8 pages so much. You have no idea who you are, where you are, why you're there, who drew the pages, who he is, why he wants to kill you, why he has tentacles, why the horrible noises you wish would just go away keep getting louder and more disturbing with each page you find, who built the page locations, what half of them even are, and why they couldn't just draw you a damn map of the place while they were feeling so artistically inclined. I think at one point I even speculated that you, the player, are stuck on a tidally locked exoplanet in its twilight zone. No, not that twilight zone. Though that maybe could explain a lot of things. Anyway, total lack of self-awareness or context is the allure of the first installment. All you know is get that damn final 8th page before he gets you, and everything will be fine, right? Well, maybe. But in Arrival, right from the very start, the game drops hints and promises of, for lack of a better way to put it, information about Slender Man. You have a for sale sign on a property, so you immediately can assume you're actually on planet Earth, for starters, and somewhere actual humans live and dwell. There's a phone number on a sign for someone named Kate, or several signs. There's a house you can investigate with clues and notes inside. And there's a room with the same drawings you saw in the first installment all over the walls. So, theoretically, you now finally know who drew the pages. Well, not so much. Because maybe that was CR, Kate's husband or boyfriend or regular friend or whatever CR is, who seems to have so much guilt at the end of the game, he decides to self-delete. So maybe he's the one who made the pages, because all of the similar-looking painted script is there around his corpse. Frankly, I don't know. I still don't know. I also still don't know who Charlie was. I mean, I know he was the missing child on the sign, but who were his parents? Was it Kate and CR? And who's Lauren? Am I Lauren when I'm walking around? And who in God's name is Beth Hayes? And why am I supposed to care enough to keep her funeral notice? If the people we learn a little bit about, Kate, Lauren, and CR, are not Charlie's parents, then who are Charlie's parents? And where are they? I guess we know Charlie became one of Slender Man's minions, but why did he end up back on his family's farm, the Matheson farm, where Slender Man was supposedly awakened by one of his ancestors? And if that's a likely place for him to end up, doesn't that put extra emphasis on his parents, one of which presumably is a family member as well, making an appearance there when CR investigates? Or if it's too coincidental for them to be around when CR visits, then wouldn't they have gone back there at some point after his abduction to search for their child? And more than likely in the process leave some clue or clues that they had been there looking for him? Wouldn't you want to look everywhere as a devastated parent? Especially your family farm? Know for sure if he did or didn't end up there? Okay, I'll stop with all the questions that seem to have no answers, because maybe at this point you get the point. I've got this huge feeling of being left hanging after finishing this game. Leaving you in the dark, literally and figuratively, was of course the entire point of 8 pages, and you sort of understood that going in and coming out of the game. This second installment, however, promises you all kinds of plot and story enlightenment and seems to never quite deliver. It tries to walk the line between revealing details about Slender Man and his victims while simultaneously deepening the mystery surrounding him. And it, to me, just seems to wind up going nowhere. Now, it does drop one major detail about Slender Man for those who played the first game and were thirsting for info regarding him, and that is that he's not simply some serial killer with a stockpile of victims and tentacles 9 miles long. He's more like some soul-stealing demon or essence-robbing vampire who creates minions to serve him. That's pretty much all we learn about Slender Man definitively in Arrival. Oh, and the fact that he seems to have selected one family in particular to haunt and terrorize. Now, the problem is I don't know how to square this new information with what we all experienced in the first game. The big question from that game, as I mentioned, is where the hell were you? Is this game saying we were in the camping area that we discovered midway through playing? And if so, why are the set of page locations completely different and changing locations themselves instead of static like they were in the first game? My point here is, why give us any answers at all about Slender Man when his enigma in the first game was basically the whole point? Why not increase the aforementioned mystery? And if that was the objective with this game in its spoon-feeding of some of his details, well, I don't think it succeeded in increasing the mystery. It just kind of became confusing and difficult to follow. I'm not sure I even know that the female voice in CR's audio suicide note belongs to Kate. It seems like a solid guess, but didn't we see her jump out the window and hear her scream when you-know-who got her? How did CR catch up to her, and why was she free to speak and plot with him? And if it is CR and Kate on that last VidCam tape, what were they trying to accomplish before CR decided to self-immolate? Did he think if he sacrificed himself, Kate would be spared? I can't make heads or tails of what was going on there. All I'm certain of is whatever they were trying to pull off was easily thwarted by Slender Man, obviously. And if there were critical clues in all of those notes that I collected, I can't recall what they were exactly. They all seem pretty superfluous to me, and not at all essential to finishing the game. Maybe that one explaining the generators in the abyss, but other than that, did any of them contain info I couldn't live without? Granted, I didn't find all of them, but you'd figure if you found the vast majority like I did, there'd be something worthwhile in them, something you needed to learn in order to progress in the game. Now, again, I'm probably coming across so critical that I sound as if I hated the game, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. I actually really enjoyed playing it, and it definitely roped me into wanting to learn more about all the people and locations and Slender Man minions involved in the game. It's just that I think the devs needed to shit or get out of the Slender Porta-John, if you know what I'm saying. Basically, to reiterate my main gripe here, I think the Arrival creators most likely wanted to have it both ways. They wanted to give you Slender Man clues while also deepening the riddle surrounding him. And I don't think it works so well. Maybe doing that is even an impossible task when you stop and think about it. How do you tell somebody about something while making it more enigmatic? So perhaps they deserve props for giving it a go and getting as close to success as they did. Just to wrap things up here and not turn this into a marathon review, let me mention what I liked about the game. It was equally as scary as, if not scarier than, the original 8 pages. My heart was racing the whole time while trying to collect them all yet again, and my head was spinning this time from trying to figure out where they were and what was going on with my ever-changing surroundings. The Abyss was legitimately terrifying, in my humble opinion, and the creep factor in Charlie's sub-story was just through the roof. That bit of the game was really effectively disturbing. Of course, it's a child abduction, so it would be, but they did a good job with it, I think. It could have been something that reviled you so intensely you gave up on the game, but they made it engaging without losing you, and they kept it creepy enough to freak you out. Now, for those paying attention, you will have noticed that every one of my uploads for this series ask this question in the description field. And for those not paying attention, shame on you, first of all. But you should always read my gaming series descriptions at least once to get a sense of where my head is at when starting a game. Also, any mods I use and ways to donate if you're feeling generous can always be found in the descriptions as well. Anyway, I asked this question at the beginning of the series, not knowing that Slender Man had done anything with Kate. Now, obviously, the assumption I had going in was that he, of course, did something to Kate. What's the difference between doing something to someone as opposed to with someone? Well, if I'm right, and it's much too late to issue a spoiler alert, but here goes anyway. Warning, spoiler alert. The big twist at the end is that it is Kate who is chasing you around in the abyss, and it is she who does Lauren in, not Slender Man. So if he had done something to Kate, you would figure she'd just be buried somewhere. But instead, he seems to have done something with her, namely turned her into your ghoulish demise. And that, I thought, was a pretty cool twist. I got to give the game credit for that. I didn't see it coming. It was an effective, it really made you think at the end there, because you've got the image of ghoulish Kate. If I'm right, that's Kate. You got that split-second image of her, and it brought you back to the abyss, started making you think, oh my goodness, that was Kate. This is Kate. I've been searching for my own end the whole time. I thought that worked really nicely. All right, everybody. Hopefully I kept the rambling to a minimum and made some points somebody somewhere will find valuable. Don't take my griping too much to heart. You should definitely give this game a go. It was well worth it. And you should do so even if you watch my series. I think there are a lot of things I might have missed while playing that you can still uncover. And if you do so, maybe you can even come back and tell me why the story makes much more sense than I think it does. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next upload.